Hello my friends, it's your brother Lime here, and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be featuring Shadow Venusaur in the Ultra League Premier Cup, and we already know Shadow Venusaur is going to be an amazing Pokemon because the regular Venusaur is a really toxic Pokemon in the Ultra League Premier Cup. People hate it, but also love it as well because it's so good. So, I saw this team on Purple Kyogre's channel yesterday, and I just happened to have my own Venusaur built, so I decided to actually make this team. So it consists of Venusaur in the lead, with a safe solo of Kingdra and Empoleon as the closer, and this team is super strong. Like, I won't say this close, I'm like 100 points away from getting to is it a veteran ranking, which is pretty high, especially right now in the season. Obviously this team has performed really well for me, and I'm going to showcase you my two sets of battles that I did with it today, and basically let you know if you should actually build a Shadow Venusaur. And what I would really say about Venusaur is it already is super strong. It just makes those matches even stronger, hits even harder, and basically gets the shield from your opponent because they have to shield, they have to respect the frenzy plant because it already is quite busted, and having the extra shadow damage just makes it even more broken. And yeah, Venusaur is an absolute beast, still is, even though the XL Pokemon are running rampant. You know, people just still don't actually have access to all the Pokemon yet because Talonflame XL is like a 500k investment of Stardust, and all the XL Pokemon require a lot of resources. So Venusaur is here to stay, is still the OG GOAT of the Ultra League Premier Cup, and as long as the meta is still more or less the same, it's going to have loads and loads of play. So let's get on to the commentary of the game, and as you can see, we're going to see this Empoleon absolutely taking, well, I don't have to take Thunder Punch because I've got a shield, but yeah, Empoleon's going to basically Hydro Cannon this Raichu down. So Empoleon is a lone Raichu counter confirmed. I don't know why my voice sounds a little bit mellow right now. Okay, let's start this again. So guys, yes, we're going to have this Venusaur showcase, and on to the next game against this ex-legend ranking player. So off to a really terrible lead against this Charizard. I do stay in to kind of find out what fast moves Charizard have now, but my reflexes are pretty crap. I automatically pressed on Kingdra. Isn't too bad though, because Kingdra will resist any other attacks apart from the dragon typing, but my opponent actually switched that into his Venusaur because he wants to align his Venusaur against my Kingdra. But rather than going for the Octazuka, I'm going straight for the outrage because outrage is going to basically hit it, almost KO it basically, and now I can just shield up once and dragon breath it down. So a lot of the matchups I do tend to just go straight outrage on Venusaur. Most of my opponents haven't actually shielded it yet because they don't want to fall for the bait, and I think they don't really understand how much damage the outrage will actually do to them. I think it does quite a lot, but they don't really realize it's basically gets them in the range where they can't get to a second charge move. My opponent comes out with his own Charizard, and he decides to take me out, and I bring in my Empoleon as basically that's my best answer for it. And like I said, I've got to respect the blast burn of Charizard, so I shield it. So I am 2 shields down to my opponent, basically having almost 1 dead Charizard and a Shadow Snorlax. And for some weird reason, he lets the first Hydro Cannon go through. Like, Empoleon doesn't really have a bait move, so now the game is pretty much in my favor now. I've got tons of energy. I throw the next Hydro Cannon, and because Venusaur already has a bit of energy anyway, and it's fairly tanky as hell, even though it's Shadow, it can take this body slam comfortably. I didn't want to get hit by a superpower and then basically have Venusaur facing off the Charizard, even though it's just Dragon Breath and the Snorlax. So get the second shield, and now I can pretty much commit to the farm down with the Vine Whip. But my opponent has to throw energy, otherwise he'll be dead. Totally fine, because now Empoleon can just come in, waterfall the Snorlax down, and then waterfall the Charizard that comes back in again. So onto a nice clean easy win. Empoleon basically being the key star here, not Shadow Venusaur. But yeah, what I refer to Venusaur or Shadow Venusaur is Shadow Venusaur wins more, or wins some more, just because it wins the matches pretty much the same as the regular Venusaur does. It has all the same obviously weaknesses as the regular Venusaur, obviously a little more frailty, but it hits everything so much more harder. They have to shield, and obviously my opponent switched out onto the Lapras to catch whatever move was, and thankfully, God bless the Kingdra gods, I got blessed with the attack debuff as well, which is great because now I can just come in with my own, well, I could have come in with my Empoleon, it would have been a really good wall, but because of seeing the Charizard, I decided to come in with, was it Charizard? No, it was the G.o.a.t. I decided to come in with my Venusaur because Venusaur has a really terrible matchup against G.o.a.t. G.o.a.t pretty much can do quite a lot, of damage. Was it G.o.a.t? Was it G.o.a.t? I'm talking about a different match. Excuse me. The reason why I come with Venusaur is because my opponent's ice shots are doing less damage because of the debuff, and obviously I shielded up once respecting the ice beam, but it wasn't. It's just a surf, and I can tank surfs pretty commonly, and obviously the debuff helps out a lot. I decided to farm and bank all the energy on Venusaur and try to get ahead on energy. It was a G.o.a.t, so apologies for that, guys. Bit tired here, and I immediately swap into my Empoleon because I want to get ahead on energy, and I don't want to give my opponent a chance to farm down my Venusaur, because G.o.a.t with a little bit of energy advantage can do a lot of work, because close combat hurts like a bitch. But yeah, my opponent goes straight for the superpower. Need to shield that because that would have basically taken out my Empoleon, and then it would have been GG from there. And this way, that point I was actually scared because I thought that might be a second superpower. Thankfully it wasn't. It's just a body slam, and Empoleon can eat that for breakfast. Now my opponent's gonna come back in with his Empoleon. I'm tapping the screen away. Thankfully I've got so much energy loaded up. My opponent gets to assist to the second confusion. This will get the shield, because obviously my opponent's allowed to shield, and I can still get to the second one. My opponent actually decides to go for a sack swap. I wasn't going to throw anyway because I was expecting that, and because this is a Shadow Venusaur showcase, I'm bringing it back out to basically take out this G.o.a.t. Not that I had to, just wanted to flex on my opponent there because I'm playing a toxic Pokemon. Might as well be toxic too. On to the next game. Up against another terrible lead, so 3 bad leads in a row, and this time it's actually a wing attack Charizard, which I quite like. I'm a big fan of wing attack Charizard, helped me get to Legend last season, and I was a bit late to swap, so I'm going to have to take this Dragon Claw. Not nice, but my opponent does switch out into his Abomasnow, and Abomasnow can be a real pain in the ass. And I've used an XL Abomasnow. It's super tanky, and it does fairly well against pretty much all my line. So it's going to be a team effort to take it down. Thankfully, I'm able to get to this Octazuka. My opponent obviously knew that, didn't shield, and yep, I don't get the debuff. Happens. That's what I needed actually. But yeah, it's totally fine because I can just come in now with my Venusaur. I was contemplating coming in with my Empoleon again, but obviously the Charizard, yeah, I just had to come in with Venusaur. I knew I could tank a Weather Ball and get to a Sludge Bomb and basically threaten a shield, which I am able to. Abomasnow with shields is just so painful to take out, and because also my team has to have a team effort to take it out, I switch in aggressively into my Empoleon and try to farm basically as much as possible, and my opponent will get to an energy ball. It's one of those things, it's your opponent gets to an energy ball at the same time as you get to your drill peck or your charge move. My opponent has so much energy, so I shielded the first one up, and I was like, this is just going to be a weather ball. Turned out it's a second energy ball, so look at it. I mean, it does a fair amount of damage. The steel typing on Empoleon actually helps out a lot to resist that, so it takes neutral damage only, but yeah, it does quite a bit. And obviously my opponent actually has a Shadow Glade in the back, so thankfully he didn't switch out earlier. Otherwise it would have been a lot more tricky to actually win back the game. And because my opponent is shieldless, he tries to do what he can to catch, but I've got so much energy built on my Empoleon, I can just go for this Hydro Cannon, and this next waterfall will take G.o.a.t out. So having the extra energy on my Empoleon actually helped win the game, and yeah, Empoleon being the showcase again, the star of the show. Empoleon, I would say, is probably the #1 ranked Pokemon in my tier list for the Ultra League Premier Cup, non-XL obviously, because XL Pokemon are broken and they have their own tier list. And I saw so many Galvantulas yesterday or this morning, pretty much like about 3 out of 5 games I play, and yeah, it's annoying because obviously Venusaur, it doesn't have a really bad matchup against it, because you can tank the first lunge quite comfortably. Shadow Venusaur is tanky as hell. The second one does require a shield, and obviously I'm trying to like get to throw a move. I actually overtapped there instead, which isn't great because I could have thrown a Frenzy Plant, but I decided to come with the second shield, and I'm just continuing on farming, and I come in with my Kingdra to kind of just quickly take out the Galvantula. Galvantula can be a pain for my team, but obviously Venusaur has a fairly good matchup with the Sludge Bomb. If you time it correctly and throw on the 6th Volt switch, you can actually get a Frenzy Plant and a Sludge Bomb off, but it's kind of sketchy. So my opponent comes out with an Ampharos, so he's got a double Thunder line, Electric line, which can be a pain because it really screws up a lot of teams. But thankfully, again, when I needed the debuff, I get the debuff, because this is actually going to make a massive difference. Now watch this Thunder Punch. Obviously already I'm taking neutral damage from it, but it actually does so little damage where I'm actually able to survive and get off an Octazuka on this next Pokemon, which actually Octazuka is a broken move. And again, I get the debuff on the Lapras, and yeah, the biggest wall for a Lapras is an Empoleon. Empoleon just loves this matchup. Like, I used to think Lapras could win this matchup when I used to play Lapras myself, but it really can't, even with Skull Bash, even though the defenses go up. So I'm able to get a sneak, an extra waterfall through, which, you know, all adds up. It all adds up. The more energy I can have going into the game or going into the end game, the better it is. So was it Galvantula? Yeah, it was a Galvantula. So yeah, also my opponent still has the Ampharos, so I have to worry about that. So my opponent actually switches out onto the Ampharos, try to catch whatever it was, and I do throw a drill peck here. He decides to shield anyway, which is totally fine, and my switch clock isn't back up yet, so my penguin boy has to stay here still. He survives, so I go straight away into my Shadow Venusaur, and I've got so much energy built on him. The first one takes out the Ampharos, and the second one takes out the Lapras. So yeah, Shadow Venusaur coming in clutch to kind of, well, stored energy on Shadow Venusaur is deadly as hell. So that's coming to use. So that's 5 out of 5 actually. So I go 5-0 in the first set, and look at my prize, I get a Thundurus. This is like my 10th Thundurus, I think. 10th? Yeah, my 10th Thundurus from Go.a.t League. I've had so many. I wish it was Mewtwo or Rayquaza. That would have been pretty cool. That would have been pretty awesome. So on to the mirror match now. So you're going to see which Pokemon is superior. In the mirror match, normally they both kind of KO each other at the same time, because they both kind of, obviously the Shadow Venusaur takes extra damage and it does more damage. So in essence, they kind of trade blows. So Sludge Bomb obviously does quite a lot of damage, and I was able to get an extra Vine Whip through. So I decided to commit to doubling up my Sludge Bombs, because that's the best way to throw it. That way your opponent can't actually throw, well, you can't, basically you beat your opponent to it. And at this stage I should have really counted the moves. I should recognize it's going to be a Frenzy Plant, because if I got to the second Sludge Bomb, my opponent wouldn't have, because he didn't get an extra fast move in. So I shielded that up like an idiot, and I would have probably survived the Frenzy Plant, I think, just with a little bit of help. My opponent actually comes in with a Charizard, so I decided to stay in, because it is only the Shadow Breath one. Shadow Breath one? It's only the Dragon Breath one. And it actually takes the Sludge Bomb as well, so it does so much damage to Charizard. But even with the 2 shield advantage, I am going to basically lose this, because I want to use this shield here because I do respect the Blast Spin. Always respect the Blast Spin. My opponent actually has a Swampert in the back. So Swampert, yeah, is a pain in my ass. Because my Venusaur is basically dead, had I swapped out earlier, this would have been a lot better, because, yeah, I would have had a lot more play. But because I've already used my shield, I've got no shields, this Earthquake doesn't do a lot of damage to my Kingdra, and my opponent can switch. I don't get the debuff as well, so yeah, that hurts. I should have got the debuff there. Well, no, I should. 50% chance. I wanted to get the debuff there. I'm able to just about survive, but he's able to farm me down. And yeah, Empoleon, no shields against the Swampert. Even though I'm able to get this Swampert close, had I switched in a bit earlier, or if my switch time came out earlier, it would have been a lot better. So Earthquake takes me out. So what I should have done was farm it down a lot more, get it in that range where he'd have to throw the Earthquake and then switch into my Kingdra. That way I'd have a move ready and basically do a lot more damage to the Swampert. So maybe I could have switched that match around if I played it more correctly. So onto a great lead. Obstacle Guns counters don't do too much damage to Venusaur, and you're going to see exactly, even though the Night Slash is a fairly decent move, it doesn't do too much to Venusaur, and I'm building up back-to-back Frenzy Plant because I want to get them off without my opponent sneaking a move through. That's the best way to do it. And look at that, Frenzy Plant just chunking away, and Obstagoon is fairly chunky in the Ultra League, so it does that much damage. So now I switch out because I don't want my opponent to basically farm me down, and he will normally outpace me anyway, so I decided it's best to go into Kingdra, my safe switch. My opponent goes straight for his Gyarados, and this is where I should have just thrown the Octazuka, because my opponent would have shielded that because he wants to maintain switch. And yeah, I don't get even a chance at a debuff, and I get a shield though, which is pretty good. That's probably the only positive there. So now I come in with Empoleon because Empoleon is going to resist the Aqua Tails, which I was expecting him to throw anyway because he wanted to take out my Gyarados as soon as possible. Then he comes out with a Crunch, so maybe I should have just shielded that one instead. I like keeping both shields, and I'm committing to the farm down, and I decided to bring in my Venusaur because depending on what his back Pokemon might be, I might need my Empoleon for later. For some reason I'm thinking it's going to be a Talonflame, so I do get a bit of extra energy, and the Obstacle gets farmed down as well. Thinking I might throw, it's actually a Gengar in the back, so this isn't great. I throw the Frenzy Plant. I should have just thrown the Sludge Bomb. I had it. I should have just thrown it. It would have done a bit more damage, but because of that, but thankfully because of that I don't lose. I had energy built on my Empoleon, which really comes in handy. And I know I was thinking, if my opponent doesn't I'll shield the first one, it's going to be a Shadow Claw bait. It will take me out, but I will outpace. Thankfully, I think he used just one Shadow Claw bait, or basically on that Shadow Claw he would have got his charge move. So basically I was able to take him out there. Pretty close. Gengar is an absolute beast. It's a hate and love relationship with him. I love to use it, but also hate that it's just so vulnerable without shields. Onto another Galvantula lead. Saw too many this morning. Yeah, I can comfortably take the first one because my opponent will outpace me. And here I tried to time it correctly, but I kind of did it too late, so my opponent actually had a chance to get a second lunge off. So yeah, I need to play this matchup a little more just to get my fingers ready. I pressed the fast move and then clicked on the charge move, basically left me in that place where I couldn't throw it in time. But even though I'm double resisted, look at that sludge bomb. So sludge bomb does quite a lot of damage. So if I didn't have the debuff, I think it almost one-shot the Galvantula. So at this point, I'm like, okay, Shadow Venusaur has done quite a lot of damage. I should be able to take out this Galvantula with Kingdra before he gets to a move, and he comes out with his own Shadow Snorlax. Shadow Snorlax, one of my favourite Ultra League picks. It's such an amazing Pokemon. Shadow damage from Lake is just amazing, and in my last video I was saying I keep going for outrage on these Snorlaxes and they keep shielding it, and guess what I do? I go for the outrage again like an idiot, and they shield it. Should have gone for the Octazuka. I don't know why I'm not going for the Octazuka. Octazuka changes games. It wins the games that you shouldn't be winning at all. Obviously debuff would have helped. I might not have got it. I thought maybe because the Snorlax is the bulky Pokemon, or the bulky Pokemon that they have, they might just let it go and just be that punching bag. Shielding this obviously because I do expect it to be a superpower. And in the back is a Politoed, an XL Politoed. Now this thing is, excuse my French, pretty thick. I was gonna swear then. I thought Drill Peck would do a lot more damage. It tickles it away, and I was thinking, like, how much damage? Is that true? Is that how much damage I should be doing with Drill Peck? Because that seems a lot less than I would imagine. But XL Pokemon are just too thick. Like, it doesn't resist it. It's neutral damage, and Drill Peck hits pretty hard, or hits pretty well. But I guess against like stuff like Gyarados and nah, XL Politoed is tanky as hell. It doesn't. Yeah, it's too bulky, man. Niantic, please sort out the XL Pokemon. This is becoming beyond a joke, because I know XL Ninetales and XL Politoed make a really strong core, which I absolutely hate. So onto a fairly good lead. Dragon Breath is going to do quite a bit of damage to the Venusaur, but I should be able to outpace my opponent to his charge moves. And Frenzy Plant is going to do a lot of damage. Normally you need 2 Frenzy Plants to take out Gyarados, so I wanted to actually see how much this would do. It being a shadow, it might have been close to taking it out in one shot. Especially with the Vine Whips adding up as well. So I want to shield this anyway because I expect my opponent to throw, a crunch. It won't take me out, but it get me low enough where it could probably Dragon Breath me down, and I wanted to get the second Frenzy Plant off before my opponent actually threw anything. But he shielded the second one as well, so I was like, is my opponent really weak to Venusaur? So what I tried to do is I tried to align this game where I will keep switch. So my opponent does throw an Aqua Tail, and I farm a little bit extra there. Not that I need to, because my Venusaur is pretty much in the has very low life anyway, so we get taken out. So I'm able to take out the Gyarados, and out comes a Gengar. Yeah. So basically, I hate seeing Gengar and I hate seeing Galvantula. And I go with my Empoleon because Empoleon has like the better coverage for its typing. It goes for a Shadow Punch bait. I knew I could tank that, but obviously no shields. I was scared of a Shadow Ball. Thankfully, it doesn't have Shadow Ball, and in the back is actually an Obstagoon, which is perfect because my having one switch helped me align my Pokemon correctly. And Obstagoon against a Kingdra has a decent matchup. I guess the boost, it's very boost dependent. If you go for the outrage, obviously no shields, it's going to do a lot of damage. I was contemplating going for the Octazuka and then farming down, but there's no point because if I don't get the debuff, it's just not worth it. But I should have probably taken a bit more damage because now I'm letting this Gengar farm, and he has quite a lot of energy, and thankfully he doesn't have Shadow Ball because Shadow Ball would have taken me out easily. If he has 2 Shadow Punches, yeah, if the first one would take me out, the second one would, but thankfully I was able to sneak an extra a waterfall through. I was an idiot. I should have just clicked on my fast charge move, but got lucky with the extra fast move going through. So on to another terrible lead. Drifblim absolutely walls Venusaur. So going to my Kingdra, and my opponent stays because he wants to throw the Icy Wind before he bails, which is a smart play by him because, yeah, it would debuff my Pokemon, but he actually throws the Shadow Ball, which does a lot more damage. So this is going to be a little more trickier than I imagined. I go for the Octazuka because it's my, well, I could have probably built up to the outrage and offer it. I knew my opponent would shield because it's my champ, and thankfully I got lucky there. I get the debuff, which is great because it will actually help a lot. I get a second Octazuka off which it goes through. Now my champ is in the range where it can be farmed down, and it's debuffed. So even if it throws a rock slide at me, it won't do a lot. The 2-stage debuff from Octazuka is dirty. It's disgusting. It's probably more disgusting than anything, you know, in the Ultra League. Probably more disgusting than Umbreon. So I'm able to take all the charge moves from the Machamp. I still have loads of energy, able to farm it down, and in hindsight I should have stored his energy, but I do know the Sludge Bomb does do quite a lot of damage to the Drifblim. It is an XL Drifblim, and my opponent actually has a Toxicroak in the back, so it's a double counter team. Not looking great. But thankfully I was able to, my opponent switched out really a little late, so I was able to build up to a drill peck, but for some odd reason he let that go through. I don't know why. I just don't know why. He had a shield as well. So I got lucky. Hadn't he not done that, he could have just counted me down and counted me down and taken out my Venusaur with his Drifblim if he wanted to. But because he didn't do that, I was able to take it out. I was able to waterfall it down. So I got lucky. Thankfully I was able to go 3-2 in that game. So overall, I played the team for about 3 sets. I went 5-0, 2-3, and then this 3-2. So 10 out of 15, which is pretty great. Guys, thank you for watching, and if you like, please subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you next one. Thank you. Bye bye.